This is the Mortal Kombat Legends characters tier list that Sonic RXD made, and I'm using it for a roster duster. When I loaded the page up, I saw that I'd already done it, and I guess I just lost the file somewhere. No idea how or where this happened, but yeah, I'm making the whole thing over, and hopefully I can entertain you guys. So, as you can see, we've got a few extra tiers here. You got Cringe, Literal Nobody, Alt Forms. Alt Forms are obviously for instances like, say, Liu Kang becomes his like weird fire god thing. That's an Alt Form. That's his dragon form, that's an alt form, stuff like that. The human Raiden. Cases of, I don't need multiple instances of these particular characters, so they can just go in there. Because I mean, I suppose a code could be like, well, this version of Raiden should return, this version of Liu Kang should return, and maybe this form, but these shouldn't. But nah, I'm just going to stick with one version of each character. Let's start off with some characters that obviously need to return, right? Like, if you're going to do more MK Legends films, you have to have Scorpion. He's the main character of the first film, so he's kind of significant. He's also like the main character of the B plot for the second, so obviously he has a lot of significance. Liu Kang is the hero of the second, so he obviously needs to return. I can easily just write off the Lin Kuei Grandmaster. There is no point bringing that dude back. He might have been a literal nobody, like Liu Kang's parents. Like, some of these are just here because Sonic RXD thought it'd be funny. Like, like Liu Kang's parents and this dude, how powerful are they? But that'd be too easy. It'd be like, oh, I'll just get rid of this guy, every other literal nobody, and no, that's not going to fly. So they are not actual characters. They can just go away. So for some proper characters, I would say the one being can go away forever. I don't want him coming back. Having him be an antagonist was a mistake, but I've gone into that before already, so I'll just move on. I would say that I wouldn't mind Shang Tsung coming back. I'd say the current villain should just stay gone. This series of films is bad enough where they're just doing too much in one go, but I feel like if they were to start rehashing old villains, like main antagonists, that'd be a bad idea. I mean, you can argue Shang Tsung is that for Scorpion's Revenge, but not really. He never really felt like the main antagonist. He felt like a major antagonist, but not the main one. Quan Chi was firmly the main antagonist, and he should stay gone. As far as stories they could adapt now, they've already done. I've already said before how Battle of the Realms kind of takes from all the sequels at once, pretty much, except for MKX, although arguably a bit from MKX. We've done Shokan, we've done Shinnok, we've Deadly Alliance kind of technically. We've not done Onaga yet, so I suspect if we do get a third Legends film, it would be him. Probably in like an MKX plot. Because I can absolutely see them just saying, fuck it, let's just move on to the next generation. Who knows, maybe they would be like, here's the trilogy about the original generation, then we get a sequel about the next generation. I could maybe see them do that, but yeah, I don't want these villains coming back. I wouldn't mind another villain coming back and stepping up. Like, they could even take something from the comics and have Reiko step up. You know, I'd probably put Reiko in Erase Forever. I don't remember most of the placements. I went out of my way to not take notes of them so that I could not be too driven by that and just do my own thing. Oh yeah, alt form, hands up. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Reiko coming in and actually having a major role. I mean, that could be an interesting B plot, like him versus Melina for Rule of Outworld, or them uniting against Kitana, like Reiko is Melina's general, and a bit like in the MKX comic. You know, honestly, I feel like we're more likely to get a Havoc plot inspired by the MKX comic than we are an Onaga plot. We can quickly remove some of the trash, like, you know, Devora. She's just terrible in all incarnations. At least this version don't kill anyone. No, says that. Honestly, I'm going to say bring back both Kuai Liang and Bihan. Bihan as Noob Saibot. I guess Onaga could work as like a guy to bring him back because he is a necromancer, so he could bring him back as Noob Saibot. But I do think there's a lot of potential in bringing him back and then having him fight Sub-Zero and Scorpion. We saw it in MK11 a bit, but I do think that there's a lot you could do with that, especially since in this version Scorpion killed Sub-Zero for a crime he had absolutely nothing to do with. I mean, you didn't even kill him in this version. He's a completely innocent man, whereas at least in the games, you know, his killing of Bihan was justified in that it's revenge for himself. It's just that the revenge for his family was misplaced. But here, he's completely in the wrong, and this could be he could die saving Kuai Liang. It's kind of the thing a lot of people wanted to see after Devora killed him in MK11. People wanted Bihan to be the one to do it. I've gone over that in videos. Other people have suggested that even before that. And I think that could be a really cool direction to go as a way to bring this trilogy kind of full circle before potentially doing the next generation thing. I think it could be cool. I feel like a dark Raiden plot could be a cool direction to go. The Thunderstrike that appears at the end that's supposed to suggest Raiden has come back from the dead at the end of the film does seem kind of ominous. I mean, I think if they had the lightning be red, it would have been a bit too blatant what they may have been intending to set up. But, you know, Dark Raiden didn't have red lightning until MK11, so it wouldn't be inaccurate for him to remain with the blue lightning, or it could just become red as he becomes more corrupt. But I think Raiden would be good to bring back. I didn't really appreciate it at the time, but after watching Sonic RXD's video on it, I do think that Raiden as a human was like one of the most interesting parts of Battle of the Realms. Not enough to save it, unfortunately, but it was interesting to see Raiden as a mortal, where it's not just he loses his powers and that's the extent of it, as it was in Annihilation, where he's basically the same person, although ironically enough, the James Remar version does get a bit more quippy once he's mortal, even though the Jeff Meek and Christopher Lambert version, as a god, is still very quippy. So he gets less quippy and then regains the quip once he becomes mortal. Anyway, to get to the point, we didn't really explore Raiden as a mortal. The only function of that was so he could die in Annihilation, so that Liu Kang could be motivated to defeat Shao Kahn, which, yeah, I guess Battle of the Realms kind of ripped off. But at least Raiden gets to fight Shao Kahn and not just get hit with one blast and die. So I guess I can say that Battle of the Realms has that over Annihilation. The Mortal Raiden thing was more interesting, and they actually explored him a bit more before killing him off. So it wasn't just a pointless thing. It kind of sucks that we didn't actually get to see that Raiden fight properly with his powers. Now, you don't get to fight until he loses his powers and then fights those reptiles. That was lame. Lame to throw lightning around. That would be so cool. That's like one of the biggest issues I have with the original duology. Characters don't use their powers nearly enough. Liu Kang's the closest thing he gets to a fireball is that one last hit he does on Shang Tsung. And that seems more like it's supposed to imply the fireball rather than actually be one. Similar to how the Godzilla from the first American version may or may not be able to breathe fire. He might just breathe on cars and they explode to simulate the fire breath. Anyway, I want Kung Lao to come back. I want him to get his second chance, because he was fucking lame in this movie. And Kung Lao is just constantly getting his shit rocked in everything he appears in. Except for Legacy Season 2, in which he's the new hero and he doesn't even get to have his fight against his corrupted friend, because, you know, when a good guy in these games has a close friend or family member who is evil, they don't get to fight them to try and bring them back to the light side or anything like that. We don't get that. Nope, you're not allowed to have that, even though that's the function of a character becoming corrupted or mind controlled or what have you, is to have the standoff with their loved ones. That's the point. That's the drama. What is wrong with this franchise? A couple more for Cringe. You know, this was just terrible. I'm at least interested to see what they would do with a third film. You can kind of argue that it would have to include Ultra Instinct Shaggy, but I do feel like it'd be more likely to have the animated Injustice Superman show up and like do some stupid bullshit. Either way, it's going to be just terrible. Although it could be a funny way to announce Scorpion's inclusion in multiverses, depending on when he gets announced for that, because supposedly he's been leaked for it or whatever the fuck. But let's be real, if Warner Bros. Put out a fighting game and didn't have any MK characters in it, that would just be the dumbest thing you could possibly do. But like if Sega put out a Smash clone and didn't have any Virtua Fighter characters, like, what are you doing? So Sonya... It's tricky, because I don't like Sonya and Johnny in these films. Jax is actually the better of the three, even though typically he's the least interesting. I mean, okay, in Annihilation he had the most personality, but that's because he was the black guy, and so they just went over the top with his personality, like, yeah, now what? And you're like, okay, I guess that's fine. He's a bit less of a wet blanket than Sonya is. Then you go to the games, it's like, yeah, Sonya has some interesting story stuff in MKX. Johnny is easily the best character in the NetherRealm era, but in these movies, it's terrible. So I would genuinely be fine killing them off. Like, establish that Cassie's been born in between film 2 and 3, and then kill them two off. You know, just big, oh, so nice, the two, you know, let them die together, and then Cassie can be the new character in the next film. I am tempted to put them in, well, at least Johnny in Keep, just because he could mature like his game counterpart did and become less of an obnoxious twat, but I don't trust the filmmakers of these films to be able to do that, because they've gone way too far. He's more of a twat than the past version of Johnny in MK11, who was already a ridiculous exaggeration of his MK9 self. And so I just can't I can't justify putting him in keep because I just don't see the potential for these filmmakers to make him a better character. I really don't see that happening at all. Like, if we had different people making the films, I could maybe see that working, but nah. I want to see something done with Nitara that's not just a cameo or a completely different character given she don't even bite anyone. All Nitara in 2021 does is fly, and it's never even been confirmed that the game version can fly. Stupid. I'd say that, you know, I was going to put him in alt forms. I don't care if the filmmakers say it's actually different characters. If the two Tarkatans were different characters, they would have different clothes. They wouldn't have used the exact same design, which is weird because it's not like they were beholden to those designs, because Johnny changed design between films to go to his MKX one. So there was absolutely no reason not to put Baraka in his MK9 or 11 design and just go with that for the second film and say, well, this is a different character. But now they get the same one, so, you know, sometimes word of God is just bullshit. Sometimes word of God comes from someone who doesn't know what they're fucking talking about, or who is just lying to you. And this is an example of one of those. I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt and say that they're just lying to justify having Baraka come back, but I want Smoke to get another shot. I feel like he's really underutilized as a character in this franchise, and it's really depressing that when you go back over every one of his appearances, I've gone over this before, like MK2, 3, Deception, Armageddon, MK9, MKX, 6 games. There's only one that he doesn't spend any time under mind control in, and that's MK2. Everything since then, he's been controlled either throughout or for part of the story, as was the case in MK9. Bring him back, get rid of the other cyborgs, but bring Smoke back. That could be like a thing where, you know, Scorpion Sub-Zero ventures to the Netherrealm, maybe Smoke is there, could be a Revenant alongside Noob Saibot, and they're able to get through to him, or he just appears as like a wandering soul to help out in the fight. You have options, right? But the point is, bring Smoke back, let him do something. I'm willing to let Striker go. I don't know what you could really do with him at this point. And that's the thing, like, dead characters can come back. I don't have a problem with that. I like the idea of him being like kind of like a mentor to the Special Forces characters, like that one MKX mobile, well, MK Mobile card says, where he's like a drill sergeant for the Special Forces. That's a cool idea, but I don't think it's worth bringing him back from the dead for. It's better just let him rest. I mean, one cool thing you could do is have all the dead characters eventually show up for like a big ghost battle. So all the like dead heroes, like these three, could come back and help out in a big final battle against Onaga or whoever the fuck. I'm gonna say we only need one Shokan. Bring Jax back, sure, he's fine in the films. Has personality without being overbearing, which is, I feel it's kind of right in general in MK. A lot of characters are very dry and don't have much in the way of a real personality, and then a lot of the ones who do are just go too far with it. But I think that this version of Jax actually... Jax falls into that a lot of the time too. Like in MK9, he has like very little personality. Then you go to, say, Annihilation, where it's just over the top. I like the sassy Jax from Defenders of the Realm, though. The fighting's over, girlfriend? Very nice. Very wholesome. But yeah, this one strikes a pretty good balance, I think, to where you can at least recall some of the things he says and does, unlike a lot of versions and other characters. So the thing about Goro and Kintaro is it's easier to justify Kintaro coming back just because he's still alive, unlike Goro, well, presumably still alive. I mean, all of Shao Kahn's fighters who go into that arena, we don't know for sure if they're alive or dead. You know, Li Mei's fucking neck explodes or whatever, but characters survive worse. Scorpion gets his spine shattered and then can just carry on walking, and he's fine. Like, these films are really unclear about how much damage the X-rays actually do, so it could just be like a minor sprain for Li Mei. It could just be absolute hyperbole in a visual format. I want Li Mei to come back, explore her character, explain why she was fighting for Shao Kahn, do something with her. And Christ, MKX, she appeared in like 2 cutscenes, and they had more interesting stuff going with her just by the suggestion that she is like a leader of her people. And that's it. Like, that's way more than we got here, but bring her back and do something with her. Katana you kind of have to bring back. Kano might as well stay dead. He's very... Kano's one of those characters who gets by on the fact that he is from the first game and keeps being allowed to come back, even though he very rarely has anything of note to contribute beyond being Sonya's rival. I feel like at this point, like, there's no point bringing this Kano back. If you want to have an enemy for the Special Forces, do Red Dragon instead. Have the Red Dragon be them, or maybe a next generation Black Dragon led by like Cobra or Tremor. But leave Kano out. This Kano's trash. I mean, obviously Shiva would be the Shokan to show up, and I reckon neither of these two would come back. Or if Kintaro did, he'd be killed off early on, or just be a background extra in her forces, kind of like he is in the comic. Actually, yeah, I really just feel like if they were going to do a sequel, it would just be, let's just do the comic plot, but a bit different. Fuck it. I say bring back Kintaro and give him some spotlight for once. I mean, Kintaro, his appearances are rare. When he does get them, he has nothing to do. I mean, I think he had like one line of dialogue in the entirety of MK9, and that's it for the NetherRealm trilogy. He himself properly, not counting his like, non-canon stuff or fatality appearances for MK11, he's only in like 3 games. And he's way cooler than Shiva. Shiva just gets by on big dommy mommy energy because people are starting to wake up to the appeal of muscular women. And that's all she gets by on, whereas like Kintaro, just give my mans a chance, okay? Him and Smoke are the Kung Lao would say as well, the give my mans a chance section. Give them a chance, you can do cool stuff with them, stop being fucking cowards. It's a sad day when you're like, yeah, I would rather see like Smoke and Kintaro come back than Johnny Cage. Jesus Christ. So now I have to drop Jade, Reptile, or the Elder Gods. I'd say leave the Elder Gods out. You don't have to establish that they're dead or anything, just they don't interfere anymore. Maybe establish some kind of cosmic reason for why they typically don't, and like that's why they're not interfering anymore, and that's it. Problem solved. Maybe Onaga can kill them or something. Maybe that's Havoc's ultimate goal, is to kill the Elder Gods, to just remove them, and so he does some like big vast magic bullshit and like kills the Elder Gods. Or maybe Dark Raiden just kills them all to take their power, like Parallax, when Hal Jordan was Parallax. So Reptile and Jade. Because some of these are here because they didn't really do anything with them, but I feel like they could do something with them rather than bring them back because I genuinely like them. And Jade and Reptile both kind of fall into that word. Jade, I want to see them bring her back and do something good with her, because the only other film appearance Jade has, the only other appearances Jade has outside of the games would be the Malibu comics and Annihilation, both of which have her as an East Asian villain rather than the dark-skinned heroine she's supposed to be. And this film kind of split the difference and made her a dark-skinned villain. Jade is like Psylocke, where other media does not treat her kindly and just completely misunderstand and say, oh yeah, she's a villain. It's like, how is that your interpretation? Fuck you. Wolverine and the X-Men was a good show, but Psylocke in it? No. Fuck off. Right? And of course Reptile, there's always so interesting stuff you can do with him. I imagine if they do make a third film, Coastal Calm will be in it no matter what the story's about. Like, I feel like that's... Unless Reiko is like there to be like the successor to Shokan, I just... It could be Reiko versus Kotal, then Melina just kind of gets slipped in there somewhere. I mean, I know Melina was technically in the fucking movie, but you know. I want to see these two both come back. So the question now is... Oh, wait, I put these in alt forms. Oh shit. Sorry, these three are meant to be in Cringe. I made the entire Cringe thing and I forgot all about it for like 30 minutes. So TBA, I'm going to have to let Kung Lao go and take Jade and Reptile instead. I do want Kung Lao to get to do more stuff, but it might honestly just be a better idea to let him stay dead, have Liu Kang reflect on his death after the fact, and introduce Kung Jin to kind of push that along. You know, the two reflect on Lao's death, and let's be real, if they do make a third film, they probably are going to do Onaga or Havoc and their Army of Revenants, which will feature Kung Lao and Striker, and it's just going to be the worst. But I think that's a decent selection of characters to bring back for future films, even though I don't have any faith in these films at all, but yeah, you know. Yeah, I think that's it. See ya.